And then every time he gets up, you're just gonna gently pull up, pull, and relax. Good. Yeah, so I'm Enrique. I just do like the board trains, day training trains, and I do also in-person consultations as well, and then in-person lessons. What else? And this is Odyn. And then I have no idea what your form setting with that, so if you want to fill me in what you're looking for, like what you're struggling with, I can already tell he's got a little bit of anxiety and a little bit of reactivity.
Yeah.
And the reason for the slip is because we just pull up to just calm him down. Because if we say sit and you put the butt down, that's good, but he's still going.
Mm-hmm.
So this pulling up de-escalates, and then the harness actually makes more frustration.
Oh, yeah.
Were you clipped to the harness?
Yeah.
Dogs have what's called opposition reflex. If they pull forward and you pull back, it makes them want to go forward even more.
Mm-hmm.
So we use harnesses for protection training, because we'll pull back, we release, pull back, and release, and then they get frustrated and angry. Once we create enough frustration and aggression, we let go and they shoot. Yeah.
Okay.
So the e-collar, you've probably been telling him to not pull or at least calm down, but the harness is telling him to pull and go crazy and get frustrated. So he's getting two mixed signals, and then he can get even more frustrated from those signals.
Oh, okay.
So the slip leash again is just to calm him down and have more control on him. But yeah, go ahead and fill me in on Odyn.
So yeah, we basically what we're looking for, like for the training, like behavior, what else? Obedience, and yeah, just behavioral obedience. Oh, when we walk him as well, he recently like started getting this little attitude against like other people and other dogs.
We noticed we went on vacation about a month ago, and we had left him with some family, and they said he was really behaving not how we've seen him. I don't know if it's like when the anxiety started,
Okay.
but he would get really anxious.
Has he always been a little anxious guy when he was a puppy, or?
When he was a puppy, yeah, he'd be like wanting to sniff everything around, but he would never bark at any other people or dogs. Like he'll just like play with them, sniff them, but now he's like barking and being more like aggressive, I've noticed. Ever since we came back from our vacation.
And then when did you go on vacation again?
Like a month ago?
A month ago. So when you came back, you started to notice his behavior started to get more intense?
Yeah.
Okay. And then when did you notice, so he started barking when you guys came back?
Like he started barking at other people, and yeah, and dogs, I haven't seen him with other dogs, but I'm pretty sure he'll be the same.
Okay.
Because he used to play with them, like I'll take him to the park and like he just play fetch with the dogs and stuff.
Okay. And then, so what was your family saying? Like how was he acting with them, or?
Well, they told me like when they would take him out on walks and they would try to go in front of him, he would start crying and start pulling the leash. When they would go on walks, and I guess it was one time my sister was going to the gym and my mom had to wait outside because he was barking, trying to go into, what else? He would bark at like family members. And I don't know what else. It was just he wouldn't listen, like any commands at all.
Has he ever barked at someone? Has that person ever like tried to approach you? Like does he like, is like, what I'm trying to ask is there, have you seen like meaning behind that bite? Like not bite, the bark. Like would he bite someone, you think, if they came closer, or?
He just like jumps on there, but he would say, he gets excited.
Never been anyone?
No. Like for example, right now when she opened the door, I'm not sure if you heard him, he's like his barking and everything. Yeah. So yeah, that's all new to me too, like his attitude.
Got it.
Yeah.
So here, pull up. Pull. You got it. You got it. Keep pulling. And then relax. Wait, pull. You got it. And relax. And you can go and take that other leash off if you want. So he's not stepping on it. And pull up. Relax. Wait. Good. Okay. And then the e-collar, was that you just guys got that on your own, or did you the trainer? Okay.
I've been having it
Pull
when
up.
I was, ever since we got him too, cause like I want
Relax.
the main reason I got it was like, cause I would leave him off leash when I play fetch with him, like every time like he'll go towards somebody, I'll use a little vibration feature.
Mm-hmm.
He'll know right away to like come back.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you got that on your own?
Yeah.
Okay. And then what is the model? I know it's at Econ Technologies.
The model, I'm not sure, ET300?
Okay. Cool. And relax. Good. Because you kind of touched upon it, he kept wanting to sniff everything. So this is every time he starts to move, that's his brain wandering. It starts to wander, and the more it's getting like annoying for him, and he's like, I gotta go. Then he starts to move. So the pulling up is going against that, because Jess will probably tell you that if a dog wants to move, he always goes against that you're gonna sit here and not move for a few hours, or like an hour or two, right? But if a dog doesn't want to move, then he makes the dog move. Does that make sense? I think that's him. But yeah, I mean, all I was saying, again, is just like frustration. What do I do? What do you want me to do? What do I do? And that translates to barking. What else? Anything else about Odyn?
Let's see.
And you kind of touched upon like off-leash stuff. Are you looking for like, command-wise, like what commands are you looking for as well?
Well, sometimes when we got him, he tends to like try to nibble on the hand.
Okay.
But as like command-wise, I want him to like, when I'm walking him, like to be like right by my side. I don't want to be like in front or in the back. When I'm at the park with him, like just what's it called? What's that word?
Recall?
Like recall him and to train his I guess his patience. Like,
Impulse.
Impulse controls, yeah. Control his impulse. To be more disciplined as well. Like when I say to like leave something, he'll leave it, and then like I give him a command, like he'll eat a treat or whatever.
Got it. Okay.
Because I did train him a little bit when he was a pup, and like he was doing good. And I guess it was kind of like on my side because I keep on going through it with him, like simple like impulse training.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like the weight, and then you get
Like
it.
way and then okay, yes.
Got it.
Stuff like that.
Cool. Anything else?
Anything else about that? Simple obedience and behavior issues.
Can't fix the ears though.
No, I can't fix
We
the
tried.
ears. We tried.
He had parvo when we got him.
Oh, does that, you think that played a part to the ears,
I
or?
don't know.
Probably because we know his brother.
Oh, you own his brother?
Huh?
You own his brother too?
One of my friends has his brother.
Oh, okay.
And his ears got up and everything too. So I was like, oh man. He's still cute though. He's little.
Yeah, he's a big boy
He's
too.
a big boy.
All right. Yeah. So all I'm saying is just frustration and reactivity.
Just frustration.
Well, Jesse might do it, or if depending on when he comes, I might do it. Like a touch test to see what's behind that bite, or what is his intent with me being here. That'll probably be done at the end class. I'm not sure if he's coming or not. What else? So again, tools. We have like the positive reinforcement stuff. Is probably what you touched upon when you use a puppy, like treats and food and everything like that. Positive reinforcement is a good tool to use for things you want to see. When he's barking at someone, using positive reinforcement in that scenario or place is not going to work because you want to stop something. So giving him food or trying to give him away and
It's
giving
like
him food.
rewarding the whole part.
Exactly. They don't connect. The harness is probably the main reason you're struggling. Is again, it promotes pulling. Has he always been on a harness since he was a puppy?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Jesse will tell you guys as well. Usually the harness sounds great. You know, see those little stickers saying no pull harness. It stops pulling. Okay, let's do it. But it's an oxymoron because harnesses are used for pulling. Huskies wear harnesses, and like I said before, protection training, we do harnesses. So an owner would get a puppy harness, and then throughout life, a puppy might want to go somewhere, but then the owner just pulls and moves forward. And then this here is like negative pressure for dogs. It's annoying. So when you pull a puppy away, they're like, that was kind of annoying. They don't care about it in the moment, but it gets annoying. And every single time it keeps happening, they want to say hi to someone, pull, it gets frustrating. So then that frustration turns into like a reactivity of the barking. And sometimes if it gets so intense, that reactivity turns into aggression. It's only like if it's for like a long time. So again, we don't promote harnesses. Harnesses are a training tool, but they're used for other things, not to stop pulling. And then they create aggression or like reactivity. So that's probably where this is all stemming from, which is frustration and not knowing what to do. So right here, we are telling him what to do. Relax, relax, relax. There was a moment here we wanted to get up, but then he stopped. And he hasn't gotten up since that last time, right? He's just been chill. Here and there was some noises, he's kind of looking around. But that's all that I'm saying. That's what's needed for Odyn. It's just a job. He just needs a job. So we have like the slip leash, and then the next tool that gives you more control and takes a good step forward is Prong Collar. Prong collars, you guys know what the prong collars are, the spiky ones?
Yeah.
It's a good step forward because now it allows you to correct your dog. It still closes in like the slip leash, but now it's corrections. This doesn't correct really, it's just more pressure than the regular collar. So a prong collar would be a good step forward, but then there's some issues there as well. You can teach commands with those. Yep. You can teach commands with those. Issues can be, it can be not enough. So let's say he starts barking at someone, and then let's say you're leash popping with prong, pop, 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 and he's still barking. Because he's probably at like 20 on his like energy level scale, right? But then your strongest pop is only 10. You're never going to override the brain and tell him no. You're only going to make it worse and just annoy him, so he's going to want to go more and more and more. And then the other con is that once you take that leash off the prong, you've lost all control. You can't make a sit happen unless you're clipped up and you pull up to make it sit. You pull it down for a down or whatever you're trying to do with the prong collar. So again, cons are might not get enough pressure to stop the reactivity and bring it back down to here. And also, when you take the leash off, you've lost all control. Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Sorry.
How's it going?
Maria and I had some miscommunication. Stay there. How much stuff do you have to get done?
For out there, I just started Pepper, so I'm just going to do the heel video, but I didn't get to finish heel. I got cut in the middle. But like I can try to continue if you want.
Because so that you can wrap up. I'll be here. But so since I started with you, so you can wrap it up with us.
Yeah. So far, we put the slip on. He's chilled out. He's got an e-collar technology on right now.
What model?
ET300. I think that's just a regular.
Yeah.
I can see what exact model it is.
If it says 300 on the back, it's probably because there's like 3 in particular, but that tends to be a lower powered collar. Which if you have a GSD like him, you actually want a higher powered collar. Okay, because just of the size of the dog. Okay.
Because you mean like as in the shock stuff, or?
Correct, in terms of the stim levels.
It goes pretty high. I tried to mess it one time.
Correct, but it's really so with the model that we use with Dog Truck, think of it as there's about 4 models. The smallest one's for 15 pounds and under, 35 pounds and under, 70 pounds and under, and 70 pounds and over. So it's the output. It's how much power when you press the button. So for you, it could feel like a lot, but dogs are physical animals and they bite each other. So their their tolerance to pain and discomfort is much greater than ours. Yeah. But I'm gonna let Enrique kind of continue to lead the consultation so that we're not switching back and forth, and I'll just chime in when needed.
For sure.
Okay. Go ahead, Enrique.
What were we saying? Oh, we were going to talk about e-collar. So yeah, like just was saying, we do Dog Truck, and he'll definitely need the bigger model, like the one with the bigger dogs, just because of size, and then how intense his reactivity was, because he came in hot, barking a lot. But ever since the slip leash and everything, he's been chill.
It's overstimulation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What else? So like you said, you felt that already, so they feel similar. Sometimes I think that dog tread feels a little more softer and subtle, not as sharp as that one. So here and there we'll notice differences in like the dogs, how they take to the brands, different brands. Nothing but crazy big, but just a little difference like a trainer would notice, not like a dog owner. So the e-collar, like you felt it, it's just like a muscle contraction. I know you said you use a vibration function for that when you're working with them. What we use the stimulation part, so like the shock part. Again, it's just like a muscle contractor, so whatever the two contact points are touching, which you've already felt, is what it's affecting. So it's not like, he'll say it's the collar's electric, but not electricity. So it's not flowing through the dog's body, it's whatever the two contact points are touching, Our brand, that one goes to 100, ours goes to 127, so think of 100 and 127, they're both equal, like power-wise. We just have 27 more numbers to be more specific.
Yeah, I think this one does go to 100.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100.
That one also has, what?
I'm not sure what the model. It says like the 2 mile one. The e-collar, I can't see the model for it. Oh, okay. Whatever, this is the 100 one. It goes to 100.
Sure. They all go to 100 for that particular model or brand.
There's like the mini educator, I think that's just the educator, and then the boss. The boss is for what you would use if you want to say e-collar technologies for Odyn, that's what you would be using. For us, it's called the Black Edition, is what we'll use for Odyn. And then there's all this information like what collar to use, what program would be best for you will be sent to you by email by Jesse's assistant, Maria. So you'll get all that information again and just know what you're purchasing and everything like that.
Has he worked with a trainer before?
No, yeah, he bought that e-collar on his own, and then he did a little bit of training when he was a puppy, right?
Yeah.
With a professional? Or just yourself?
Oh, just YouTube videos, you know.
Sure, yeah.
Just need to be training him.
Okay, so you're using this tool to help your dog's reactivity, but then like you're stuck, I'm assuming.
Yeah, like I don't know where to go from like wherever I left off. I just taught him how to like sit, lay down, guard, heel, come. But sometimes it's like a hit or miss. It's only like when he wants to.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
like if she tries telling him to do it, he won't listen to her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did you already cover that? Why that is? In terms of the selective hearing.
No.
Do you know why it is?
No.
So you use the vibrate.
Yeah.
Is that correct? And then when do you use the stem?
Yeah.
When do you use the
The
stem?
stem, okay, when I take him to the park and he's charging, or like he's curious, he just wants to like sniff other dogs or other people. That's why I give him a little tap on the stem, and like he comes like running straight back to me.
Okay.
So like he stops whatever he's doing and then he comes to me.
Okay. And what's the level you typically operate at?
I keep him like at 15,
Okay.
because that's the one I notice he listens to more.
Okay.
Anything like higher, sometimes like he yelps and like he hurts him.
Okay.
So I don't know any higher than that.
Okay. And then when it comes to like the reactivity stuff, does 15 stop the behavior? Or does it keep repeating it?
When he doesn't listen, I use the red one, so it goes 10 higher. So
Mhm.
it goes to like 20 something.
Okay.
Yeah. That's when
Um,
he's really not listening.
okay. So we tend to apply the collar when the dog is being bad, so to speak. And what we do is we apply the collar for everything, even if the dog is not being bad, you know. Did you cover the heel stuff with them already?
No, not yet.
Okay, is that what you're heading?
Yeah, I was just gonna go like, this is what we would do to address these problems, and then like, because he told me a little bit what the commands he was looking for, like the recall, impulse control, stay, and I was gonna go to the behavior, and then go to like this, the commands we would use as well,
Okay.
depending on like the reactivity progresses.
Okay, so you're saying, just because I think your format's a little different than mine. Okay, all right, go ahead. I'll let him take over.
Okay.
But what were you saying right now?
No, I was just I was gonna go into what you were gonna go into was about why, because if he's using the vibration function, because we don't use the vibration function, we always use the stem function, and that in terms of his reactivity, if he's operating at 15, the dog's still being reactive. Why is the dog still being reactive?
Got it.
And all that stuff.
Okay. So yeah, we would start off with just teaching him the heel command. So that would address, like you said, the pulling, and then you wanted him to walk next to you.
Mhm.
So our version of heel is very strict. It's if you take 5 steps with Odyn, Odyn takes 5 steps. If you take 10, he takes 10, and then when you come to a stop, you automatically sits on your left side with his right shoulder parallel there. And this is done with a slack leash in any environment. So it sounds super strict. So the idea is that it's so strict that he won't really care about anything else, or be more focused on here and be more worried, because if he's not here, then he's gonna feel this, right? But then let's say he does have a reactive moment, and like you said, 15 works for like regular stuff, like, you know, simple stuff, but then reactivity, you find that you're stuck there.
Yeah.
All that is just one, teaching our style of heal will help that. And then if needed, if we find that he's still being reactive, then we'll teach you how to, like, you know, how high to go, or like what signs to look for. So like, you know, ears going forward, mouth closed, or, you know, tension building up. So that will all be walked through as we go along the program. Just first seeing what does heal fix. Again, it's so strict that Odyn will not really care about certain things. So like people, usually like there's like a spectrum, like humans go away first. Then it's calm dogs. Then it's like bikes, rollerbladers, and then like other high energy dogs or other reactive dogs. And then the end is like you turn the corner as a dog. They're like, what do you do there, right?
Yeah.
So typically humans go away first, so that's the first thing to go. And some of these objects are what he's reactive to. We'll just go away and we wouldn't have to address it. But then there are certain things like, you know, I had a client that we started training, and the dog would always like just like do a low grumble when people walk by. And after the first class, the dog never grumbled at anyone. All that was left was a scooter or a rollerblader just passing by. That's when the dog was struggling, so then that's what we're focusing on now. So it'll be the same thing for Odyn. Certain things will just go away, but if not, we'll definitely address those bumps there. So that's heal, and that's what it would fix for reactivity-wise. And like I said, it's also giving him a job, because now when you bring him outside, he knows what to do. He knows where to be and what you're asking of him, instead of him kind of just wandering loosely and everything. Of, what do I do?
Because that's how he is when I walk him. He's like wanting to sniff everything.
It's like he's never
Like he's never smelled grass before. Like every time we take him out, he's always like, oh, what's in here?
Yeah, like the judge says, a little bit like overstimulation. Again, where he just doesn't know what to do. So there's just a lot of things here available for him, and he doesn't know. There's all these options. So he's like, what do I do here? What's over here? What's this smell? What's this? And then once we start to heal stuff, he'll know, oh, I have to do this. And then you'll start to see a big change in him. Another symptom, I guess, of overstimulation is like, you know, we'll ask owners like, how often do you take your dog for walks or exercise? And then they'll say like, oh, like 3 hours or 4 hours, get like something crazy. And like, but the dog, we take him home, and they still have zoomies, they still act crazy, like we didn't go for a long walk, like we just did that for that day. Signs of overstimulation, and then the ECOG and the heal will definitely help with that. Of they're just mentally exhausted, because physically you can probably make him walk next to you, like with a prong or a slip, but mentally he's not there. He might still be wondering what to do. So this is controlling him mentally and physically, of him being here and mentally focused on staying by your side, which is very tiring for dogs. Any questions so far?
Any questions? You?
And then for, oh sorry.
Oh no, I was gonna say, like, usually when I take him out, I take him to play fetch instead, so he becomes more tired. He has lots of energy.
That's what he was saying.
Oh yeah.
When you said that, like, so when you mentioned like we have clients who take their dogs for like crazy amounts of walks and stuff, and the dog is still really rubbed up. And same thing, like they go like, well, I take my dog out to go play fetch because they're running around, but then they still have more energy like to go. There's also like another sign of like overstimulation. Fetch is very healthy to play, but then that's something that we can also help structure. So that he's working while he's playing fetch, as opposed to I get the ball, I bring it back, get the ball, bring it back, get the ball, bring it back, and it's just like this cycle, as opposed to like working for it and actually thinking about what he's doing with the fetch.
Usually what I do is like I make him like, you know, sit down, stay, and then I move around somewhere, come, and then that's when I throw it, you know. That's his reward. For
Have you ever told him to sit and then thrown it, but he can't move?
Oh, that's what I want to train on him too.
Yeah,
Like,
so that's what we're talking about, yeah, is that part. you know, because going through the behaviors and then throwing it, like that's just a reward as opposed to hold still, I'm gonna throw this, and like he just wants to go, but he knows to keep that butt there. And when you say break, he can go, yeah. So it's just like, you're in the right kind of concept, but it's just challenging the dog more by making them withhold to drive before giving them permission to actually do something.
Any other questions?
No.
So like I was gonna talk about, because you mentioned impulse control and everything like that, so I did the same thing. And then, what else? And like I said before, we would have to switch off the harness.
No, yeah, for sure.
Because again, like the harness would be telling him to pull, and then if we're teaching heel and telling him not to pull, he's getting mixed messages, so he's gonna get very, very confused. Probably recommend you a prong collar, just for handling skills. We wouldn't be like teaching behaviors with the prong. It would just be like those cases of like if like you're handling him, if you turn the corner and then there's a dog there. Sometimes the owners aren't quick enough to react to the collar to stop him from like lunging or just saying hi, right? You have that prong for immediate handling skills of just pulling back right away. And then that will also be sent to you in the email, like what prong collar you get and what brand and everything. What else? And then recall would also be done with e-collar. And like I said before, the issue with like other tools is that once you take the leash off, you've lost all control. But for e-collar, it's the only tool that will get you closest to like 91% of reliability, off-leash reliability of like recall.
That's the main reason I got it too. Because I was like, oh man, let's see, somebody with another dog walks by and he wants to go, you know, say hi, but the dog doesn't take it that well, or he wants to bite him. That's why I got this.
And he's
It works
social?
all the time.
He's social?
He's social, yeah. He plays with a couple of my other friends' dogs. Pretty good.
Any other questions about the e-collar?
No. But every time we have like family parties or barbecues, he always wants to be there. Like we put him in his room, he's like crying, barking because he wants to be outside. He could go like hours just like crying because he wants to be outside. That's another thing I want to work on with him.
Okay.
Yeah.
That will be covered.
Did you give them like the time already?
Sorry?
Like the time?
No, not yet. I usually go like, what program are you looking for? Then I go like, how long? The minimum, yeah, minimum. For some common questions owners have for like the e-collar and the training would be maybe, let's say, because you said he's a jumper, right? He likes to jump on people?
Yeah.
Let's say when the e-collar is present that you find that Odyn doesn't jump and he stopped it here because you worked through it and everything.
He does act differently once the e-collar is on.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I take him to the backyard without it, he'll bark at the neighbors or like he's like free. He's free to do whatever he wants. But when I put it on him, he stays calm. Neighbors pass. He doesn't bark at them.
Yeah, so it's already happened.
Yeah.
It's just has nothing to do with your training or how you're applying the e-collar or anything like that. It's just Odin's it's an animal. So humans do it too. We're very opportunistic. So if we know we can get away with something, we're going to get away with it.
Yeah.
So we'll give you like other tools to use so that you're not so
Relying on the.
correct. You're not so reliant on that, and how to address them when like he's in that yard, he's barking, like what to do in that situation as well. But that was like another common question, like how come I take the e-collar off? He goes like crazy again, or like barking and like jumping, all those other things.
Yeah.
Any questions about that?
What program would it be for like to so it could be so I won't have to rely on the shot collar as much.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a client who kept the e-collar on all day, every day, because they were elderly, and the little dog would always take stuff off from like the counters, and it wasn't like a tissue here and there. It was like keys or like phone, like the dog would do like serious things, and then like I gave other options like, nah, like we'll keep it on all day, and then that's what they did. And since they were so consistent with it and everything, like the dog stopped doing it like really quickly because like there was no like, oh, we don't have the e-collar, we can't do anything, and the dog didn't get away with it. Like there was never an option for the dog. He never got away with anything.
Mhm.
So is that what you're asking? You want to keep the e-collar on all the time?
No, not really, cause I'm not sure if it was the e-collar or
So pressure sores,
yeah, he had some like sores.
That's the e-collar.
Yeah.
but it's not from the stem, it's from the two probes.
Yeah.
So what happens is if you don't move it for a long time, you can develop pressure sores. So it's like people that are bedridden, they have to rotate them, otherwise they get bed sores. Same thing for the dog. So every 2 hours, hour and a half, you have to rotate the collar. If you were to get wet, especially on a hot day, you want to rotate it a bit more frequently because then it'll develop hot spots. Because of the body heat, the heat from the collar, and then the heat and the moisture tends to create hot spots very quickly. So, in terms of not having to be reliant on it, we just tell people that when you need it, you have it.
Mhm.
So if he's a great dog, for the most part inside the house, like you don't need it. But then, like if you're gonna have guests come over and you know he gets really excited, you're gonna need it. You put it on him, yeah.
Yeah, cause I only put it on him when I go out or when he goes in the backyard and the neighbors are having a barbecue and stuff like that.
Yeah, like that's all normal,
Mhm.
you know. Mainly because, as he touched upon, the opportunistic behavior. So think of the e-collar, the cop on a collar. So for humans, we tend to not speed when we see cops on the expressway, right? I think everybody can relate to that.
Yeah.
Because we see the squad car, everybody slows down. Past the squad car, everybody speeds up. So that's the e-collar.
That's a color.
Yeah. The other thing is people are very inconsistent. Where they'll like take the dog out and walk without the e-collar because they don't want to do the extra step. But now the dog learns that. The dog goes, oh, sometimes we walk and I don't have that collar on, I can be a jerk and like, nothing happens. So there's also the inconsistency. The other problem is people tend to get dogs for companionship as opposed to, so you can't be your dog's companion or buddy, but then be an authority figure at the same time. But that's what people get dogs for.
Yeah.
So like my friends, they're grown ass men, I don't tell them what to do, right? I'm sure your friends don't tell you what to do, right?
Yeah.
Because we're adults. But for dogs, we get them for companionship and we treat them as companions and buddies, but then we expect them to respect us as an authority. And it's really, you should be an authority to your dog, but you do things with your dog, like, playing fetch. But that's why the structure of fetch with rules and consequence and things that he's supposed to do is, it's a fun thing to do, but you're still doing it in an authoritative way. It's like my mom and my mom. And yeah, I've gone to the movies with my mom and she's taking me out for lunch and stuff, but she's still my mom, right? Like that relationship is still there. And that's the tricky thing about dogs, is people try to be buddies with them, but then at the same time they want them to like not be reactive or come when I call them. But that's an authority thing, right? Because you're telling your dog to do something, you're not requesting. So that's a little tricky part there. So we just tell people when you need it, you have it. When you don't need it, you don't have it.
Yeah. And I even came up with like a little speech ready for whenever like dog people came with me like about the shot collar, because he has like a bad rep for some reason. I'll tell him, the reason I have is for like his protection, your protection, and like so you can like go act right. So that's like a little speech I have ready, just in case people tell me like, oh, why do you have a shot collar on your dog, blah blah blah.
Sure.
So I'll tell them like, no, it's just for safety reasons.
It's ignorance. People don't understand it because it's not a shock. They use that technology on humans all the time. They use it in hospitals. They use it in chiropractic offices. They use it at physical therapist offices. They use a lot of sports rehabilitation therapy. It's used all the time, but people think it's electrocution when it's not. So I don't even give people time of day. Tell them to go away.
Any other questions?
No, I just basic. What I offer, that's the obedience and behavior, sit, calm, go, or how to retrieve something.
Well, that's more specific, yeah.
So those are the two common questions owners have, is like how come I take it off the dog, after the jerk, and then the other one is when does it come off, like how long should I keep it on or what for? Other than that, were you looking for like in-person training, like one-on-one, or daycare training, or boarding training, or I can run through the programs if you like.
We were wondering, what do you guys offer? What would you recommend?
So we offer one-on-one. So like this, one-on-one is when we're operating at Oz Park. It's the same address and everything on the email and everything from there.
Where I was.
Yeah. So we do our sessions there. For what you're looking for, minimum, I'd say 9 weeks. So it'd be 2 classes heel, 2 classes recall, and then, then we'll have to see like how is the reactivity progressing, since that's also like your main focus. And then it allows you to have more wiggle room in the program, because there's a 6 week, there's a 9 week, and there's a 12 week. So the 6 week would give you heel and recall, but then you only have 2 classes left for like reactivity. And since you're wanting more obedience, you would need more classes anyway. So like the 9 week minimum, I'd say. How we kind of explain what the programs do for you and your dog accomplishment wise is 6 week is you walk your dog around the block, in that structured heel and everything. And then you take him to like the dog park, you need a recall, and you go home. The 9 week is you walk your dog around the block, you need a recall and you go home, and then maybe like you need him to like not move for like 2 hours, like an hour, like at an outdoor patio or something like that. And the 12 week is all those things, and then you go like off leash hiking like every other weekend with him. So it's just more commands that are being taught to you for the 12 week program. We work with you, or with Odyn, more with like long leash stuff, and then building you to get to that point where you're having him off leash. Which is still a long process. So minimum, I think 9 week would be good for you, and what it seems like that's what you're looking for, and give you a lot of wiggle room and time. So it'd be, let's say we do the 9 week. It'd be, for example, Monday at 3, 9 times at Oz Park for an hour. It's a class an hour for once a week. So we just cover like one topic here and there for that class. Again, just to not overwhelm you with information. So for that week, say this is your homework, you practice it. Come next class, we review what you've been practicing, and then we teach you another topic. For calendar-wise, you get 9 slots. Those 9 time slots, those are reserved for you. And then you also get a +1 in case like it rains. Or like, life happens with business cancellation and anything like that. You still have a slot reserved for you, but once you've used that extra slot, that 10th slot, you have to wait to get back on the calendar. So that's just one-on-one. Those sessions are recorded as well. So if one of you is missing for that class, you can go back and rewatch that video. Any questions about the in-person?
How's the boarding one?
The boarding train is when you leave Odyn here overnight, and we're working with them for either the 1 week, 2 week, 3 week, or a 4 week program. I'd say minimum 2 weeks for him, and he'll just stay with us for 2 weeks overnight and everything. And then you can still like visit him and everything. We've had owners come by, give the dog a quick walk, say hi, and then they just leave. So you're more than welcome to come and say hi to him. He still gets to enjoy like regular daycare stuff, so since he's social, he'll get to play with other dogs, do some treadmill work. We teach dogs how to walk on treadmill when they're here. And then for training, all his sessions and all the commands that are being taught to him are recorded. It's most likely going to be me in the video. So he'll learn heel, stay, sit, down, place, and then come and call. He'll also be getting training walks outside. There's a Home Depot right around the corner, so we usually take the dogs to Home Depot, or like the PetSmart's right across the street as well. So that's when we'll be able to like work with the reactivity. And there's also a dog park as well here too. So everything's here with us. So that gives us a lot of opportunities to work on that reactivity. And then back to the videos and like the training, everything's recorded. So you're seeing how he's taking the e-collar, how I'm teaching the commands to Odyn, and how to practice at home. So if he's here for 2 weeks, he gets 2 1-hour-long videos. The first video, we call them the introductory sessions of introducing the commands and the e-collar. The second video is us using a 30-foot long leash and just advancing his obedience of like, now here's 30 feet to make mistakes, make them. And then we just kind of advance it from there. What else about the board training? I won't be the only one working with them. I'll be the one in the videos, but after I've taught the foundation, then all the other handlers get to work with him as well. So so it's not just me handling him, it's like everyone's getting hands-on with him, and he's getting trained throughout the whole day. What else am I missing? Oh, sorry.
It's more intense, right?
Yeah, it's more intense. And then you also get follow-up. So the 2 week, you get 4 hours of follow-up time, and those can still take place at OSPARK. So for the follow-up lessons, they're just to transfer all the commands to you, so that you're aware of like what he knows and how he's taught it, and then we're just making sure that you're pressing it correctly. A common question owners have with the board train is, or from past experiences they've had is, I don't want, to get my dog back, you do the follow-up, and then when you leave, the dog's bad again. Yeah. That doesn't happen with e-collar because e-collar is very transferable. So let's say we find this number to be like 20. And using 20 throughout the videos. When we hand them off to you, and we press the button on 20, it's still 20. Same thing for everyone else, whoever's working with them. So like when we work with more than one person, like one-on-one, the first person that will go first usually does all the hard work. Then once they've done the good, all the hard work and they got the results and everything, they hand the dog off to partner number 2, and partner number 2 does barely any work because again, 20 is 20 for both of them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So yeah, for follow-up, it's very important for us to have that. And that's usually scheduled upon pickup. So like at the end of this program, he's getting picked up on a Monday, then I'll take him to OSPARK on a Monday, and then we have a session there. Or you can schedule it in the middle of your program. So like maybe at the end of the first week, let's do a follow-up. I want to kind of see what he's learning and everything, and you can be more a part of the board train as well as that if you want to do that as well. So yeah, the follow-ups can be scheduled whenever you like. Any questions about board training?
How much will the 2 week one be?
I don't know the prices off the top of my head.
Too much.
How much?
$27.50. And then like a 9 week program, I believe is like $13.25 or something like that. They're all on the website.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just like pros and cons. I always recommend that people do things themselves because you learn so much more. So, because we don't touch the dog, right? So I'm assuming when you came, like Enrique told you, let's put this on the dog, do this, and then you got him to settle, correct? Yeah, so it's like that. You show up at OSPARK, you have your dog, he's going nuts, and then we help you control him, get him back to passiveness, and then it's all hands-on for you. We just coach you, and then you do your homework, and that's every week, okay? With the board and train, we do all the work, and then we transfer it to you, right? So the pro of in-person is you learn a lot more. You learn a lot more. Con is it just takes longer, okay? Like he said, that's like a 9 week program, which I agree with, because we're teaching you to teach him, so it's delayed. Whereas with the 2 week program, we already know how to train dogs here, right? So we get it done real fast. Like we could teach everything in one day. So, because we already know how to do it. So, but the con is, so with the pro, we get more stuff done in a shorter period of time. Think of 1 week with us as 3 weeks of your time. So technically 2 weeks with us is like a 6 week, right? But Enrique is reading the situation going, this is just overstimulation. This is just a dog that needs to be handled and trained correctly, right? The reason why yours would be 9 week is because he has to teach you, or we have to teach you, right? So the con of a board and train is that all the training is tied to us. So it's not like a finished product, so to speak. You still have work to do. It's just he's already learned the skills, and now you're learning what your dog has learned, and then you go off and like work with your dog, so then he thinks, oh, this also applies to you. Okay, because it happens where like an owner will come visit their dog to say hi, and be like, oh, the dog hasn't learned anything. It's like because we've not taught you how to work with your dog, which is a very important part of the board and train. We do provide plenty of follow-up. I've had people do 2 week board and trains with other trainers, and they only get like 30 minutes of follow-up, and that's it. Whereas we're giving you 4, because we understand it takes time to transfer everything to you. Plus, that's why we also do the videos, because you see how your dog was trained, and you understand how the dog learned, as opposed to thinking like, I press this button and my dog does this. You know, like that's how people usually think. They think it's like a remote control. No, no, no. Like there's a lot of conditioning and a lot of shaping. So you see all that stuff. So that this way, because life's not black and white, you're going to be outside one day with your dog and something happens, and you got to think in the moment, how do I get control of my dog using this tool? And that's what we want to always teach people, is that if something happens, it doesn't matter. You have this tool and you know it well enough that you can regain control in a situation where you've seemingly lost control. So they're both valid options, just because this is overstimulation. When we deal with like aggression cases and stuff like that, we usually tell people not to do board and trains, because if you have a dog that's aggressive, like you need to know how to control that dog, right? We don't need to know how to do that. The owner does. So we usually push people to do it themselves. But in your case, because it's just a dog that's overly friendly and overly overstimulated, you have both options available to you.
And then we also have daycare and train. It's like the board and train program, but you just pick your dog up at the end of the day. So you drop them off and then you pick them up. There's still the videos and everything like that. And then once, I think after 3 days, you get the video, and then you also can schedule follow-ups. So once you get your video and he's still in the daycare and training program, you can still go out and practice with him. So then come follow up, you show us what you've been practicing, and then we go on correcting things to be corrected, we've also had owners just not practice, and they feel more comfortable with just the follow up first, then they start practicing. So that's available for you too, if that's something you're interested in. But for daycare and train, it goes 5, 10, 15, 20. I'd say 10 day for Odyn, and then that comes with 3 hours of follow-up. And you still get 2 videos, so those 5 days every 5 days you get a video. So then in the 10 days you still get those 2 same videos as the board and train does as well. Any other questions?
No questions.
So yeah, we don't need to answer anything like right now of which program you want to go forward with. Like I said earlier, it's email will be sent to you with all the programs we talked about and the prices, the e-cog we recommend for Odyn, and then there's going to be a link there as well to Amazon for you guys to purchase the e-cog through there if you want, or you can purchase it through us. They're both the same price. For us, it's the 30 days. If there's like a malfunction with the collar, you give it to us and then we borrow you a collar, and we go ahead and deal with Dogtra. But after those 30 days, if something has to do with the collar, you have to call Dogtra yourself. And then you'll also get sent a form, like agreement form. So if you do the board and train, you'll get sent to Ginger, the format we use here for your daycare dogs, where we'll need shot records and like fecal exams and all that stuff that say negative. And then you'll still get that agreement form. If you're just doing it in person, we don't need the shot records or anything like that. We just need the agreement form signed. And then once all those forms are filled out on your end, that's when we'll begin the billing and booking process and get you guys set up for whatever program you want to move forward with. Any other questions?
For the boarding, you said it was just the fecal one?
It's like the fecal, rabies,
Bordetella,
Bordetella,
distemper. It's like 4 or 5 shot
Okay,
vaccinations.
because I recently gave him the rabies, the distemper. I still haven't gotten the fecal one. That was gonna be next month. Does it need they were talking about a cough one that he needs?
Oh, the influenza? Or you're talking about Bordetella?
I think it's that one.
It's also called kennel cough.
Kennel cough.
Yeah. It's probably the Bordetella one.
Would he need it for the boarding?
Yeah, so we're required by the state of Illinois and Chicago, and the city of Chicago.
Mhm.
All dogs that come here have to have rabies, distemper, parvo, lepto, Bordetella, and if clear a negative fecal exam within the past 6 months or a year. And then the canine influenza one is not mandatory, but we do recommend it. Just because, especially with the fall and winter coming up, we had one dog, German Shepherd, who's actually here today, who came on a Saturday. We had nothing, no kennel cough, nothing. Dog came in with kennel cough, and it just, everybody got it. So we recommend that the influenza one as well. Not mandatory, but we had a couple of boarding trains. One of them caught kennel cough halfway through her 4-week program. So she was here for 2 weeks. So then the last week she had to isolate her. because the clients were completely out of town, they weren't even in the city. So we still did her training, but she was completely isolated, she couldn't play, she couldn't do anything. So we do recommend it. Whereas with the training, like, it doesn't really matter to us.
Okay.
And the in-person training.
Okay. Anything else? No, that was like one of the main questions I was gonna ask too, like the required shots.
Yeah. It should be on the website, but it's pretty standard in the city of Chicago. Any daycare you go to is gonna require those same shots. Some actually make it mandatory for the influenza one. I'm just like, I recommend it, but don't really make people do it.
Because I was talking to the vet, and it's like, yeah, it's usually the flu one and the kennel cough. Yeah. Like he has all the other ones as well.
Yeah, it's usually every year it's a booster or whatever. So like my guys got their yearlies I think a month ago. And then because how old is he?
A year and 2 months.
Yeah, he's too young. At a certain age, they develop enough of an immunity that you can take what's called a titer test or a titer test, and they let you know like, oh yeah, like he's got enough rabies immunity, you don't need it, he's got enough of this. But there's other ones that they always have to get like yearly. So like for older dogs, they're not constantly getting shots because there can be adverse effects to them getting vaccinations every year as well. But at his age, he definitely does not have the immunity.
Would you do, for a dog like this, would you still do like a touch test with his sleeve?
For the overstimulation stuff?
Yeah.
Have you ever, because I saw there put human aggression, if I did read that correctly, on the consultation part?
No, I mean, he just barks. Well, right now he was barking up in the front. That he's bitten somebody, he's never actually bitten anybody.
Oh, wait, for some reason I thought I saw human aggression, might have been a different client.
Okay.
For the overstimulation stuff, I mean, unless he was saying like, yeah, this dog has bitten somebody. I mean, it's kind of like with Pusher.
Yeah.
Pusher bit like 2 people, but it was all territorial.
Yeah.
But he was the same kind of case. So that like if that was the case, we'd probably just have him kennel him, and then we would just take him there, probably not have a problem.
Okay.
So.
Okay. I meant like during the consultation, like sleep touch stuff.
Oh, if you know it's overstimulation, it's not really. I don't like because he would still be edgy right now. He'd be growling, like staring at it, like there'd be still some kind of tension. He looks chill. He just looks like a guy that can't sit still because he gets kind of swirling around and stuff. Yeah. So, no, I don't believe so. He's a good-looking GSD.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm not a big GSD fan, so that means a lot coming from me.
He's a little trooper. He had parvo when he was a puppy.
Sure.
Yeah.
Is that a little just fur sticking?
No, that's a cyst. I have to get it removed next month.
He's an expensive dog.
Yeah.
Very expensive dog.
Yeah, in terms of like, in my opinion, from what I see so far, nothing out of the ordinary. Enrique is correct, this is an overstimulation case. I agree, because we do the 6, 9, and 12. 9 is a good middle ground, because you'll cover all the obedience that you're wanting, and then we have time to cover the reactivity stuff, because we just kind of progress and we check in on things and make sure that we're making progress. The latter half of the program, I'd be showing you how to progress his obedience towards off-leash reliability. If you're wanting something like, like play fetch and retrieve and all that stuff, that's something, if he's already got the fetching instinct, makes our lives a lot easier. But it's really, just give you some real simple directions and you practice them. We don't really cover them in class unless you're like, hey, how can I structure my fetching time with him so that like it's structured and not like a free-for-all. Like that I can most definitely help you with. Yeah. But we were really mostly about correcting behaviors, getting reliable off-leash control. We really don't do a whole lot of like the extracurricular stuff.
Oh, for
sure. You're welcome to do more. Like you could do 12, and I just take you further along in your training. In regards to the board and train, regardless of whatever program you use, 2, 3, or 4, the longer we have the dog, the closer we get them to off-leash reliability. Okay, so even if you have a dog for 4 weeks, you're not going to get them back, and it's just like boom, off-leash, they're good. We have to transfer everything to you, so there's still always going to be work on your part. Okay, it's just a matter of, do you have the time and do you want to put in the time to build them to that level? But cost-wise, in person is cheaper, whereas the board and trains tend to be more expensive because you gotta have everybody work with them. We're having them 24/7 and a lot of stuff. But like I said, 1 week bar time is like 3 weeks of your time. So that's the reason why.
Okay. I would think about it, we'd see which one's better, the
Sure.
boarding or the person.
If you do the in-person, you most likely be in contact with Maria. If you want to work with me, it'll be a bit of a wait depending on your availability. Because most people are like 9 to 5 in terms of their job. So my busiest times are evenings and weekends. So if you're looking for that same time frame, because that's such a high demand time for me, it'll be a longer wait. For the boarding train, we only do 4 dogs at a time, or I leave it up to Enrique so he's not overwhelmed since he's the one heading all the boarding train dogs and daycare train dogs. But depending on what date you're looking for, you know, you would handle that with Kim, who's my kennel manager. If you'd rather do in-person training and you'd rather start sooner, if waiting for me is too long, Enrique can handle this case. I don't see this as being like anything difficult, because I just think it's an overexcited dog that needs some discipline and control.
Yeah, some more discipline.
Yeah. So.
Another thing, for the house, how can I train them not to like grab stuff? What's it called? House break him? Because when he was a puppy, it was worse. Like he'll be chewing holes or like scratching holes on the wall. He doesn't do it no more, but
That's most likely boredom due to overstimulation.
Okay.
So what we would expect is once you start the healing stuff, probably by class 2 or 3, you'll start to notice differences in the house. Where you're like, hey, like my dog's not chewing up the walls anymore, or my dog's not like whining all the time or pacing all over the place, because that's typically like a lack of structure and formal discipline. So that's why we would start with heal first, and like he mentioned, he's like, what does it fix? So then if it's week 3 and you're like, hey man, he's still like, you know, scratching at the walls, and I go, okay, this is how we're gonna address it. Because that's a symptom. That's not a problem. It's the symptom of a problem. The problem is overstimulation. Okay, so once you resolve the overstimulation, you shouldn't see the scratching or whining or the pacing or any of that stuff.
He did it like in his puppy stages, but now he doesn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
Now what he does is, he destroys his beds. That's the only thing he destroys now, his beds. No, I was just about to buy him a purple meshes, but I was like, oh, he ripped his bed.
Does he kennel train? Crate train?
Yeah, I mean for the most part, he stayed around the crate. We got rid of it a couple months ago. He's just in his bed right now. Yeah. Behavioral issues. No, just sometimes he barks when he doesn't have his shock collar, his e-collar, and neighbors when they're having barbecues and stuff. But when he has it on, like he's okay.
Yeah, and we cover how to correct that stuff without the e-collar. So you always have some, because for dogs, since when they correct each other, they bite each other. So it's built in, right? Whereas the way we correct our dogs, it's external. So that's why, you know, whereas if like you were biting your dog, obviously say, well, as long as my dad's got teeth, he can correct me, you would see him keep himself in check in your presence. But because our correctional tool is external, that's why it's like when the collar is on, my dog behaves better. Because he knows when it's off, you don't have to make the correction, at least not yet. So, okay. So you guys can like think about how you want, what you want to do. You know, this isn't for us an easy case. Depending on what you decide on, determines who you would work with. So like Maria handles my schedule, Kim handles booking boarding trains and daycare trains, and then Tina handles his training schedule. Okay, to help kind of just disperse the work, because Maria was like camping everything else, just way too much. So if you turn around and you're like, hey Maria, like I want to work with Enrique, she'd pass you off to Tina, and then Tina would help book you with Enrique. Otherwise, if you want to do a boarding train, she'd pass you off to Kim. Okay?